Okay, I'm going to walk you through installation of the virtual machine here for your development environment. So I'm going to do this on a Windows 10 host. That's what I'm working with here. I'll go here and show you my system. Okay, it's a very limited system. It's just a Surface. So this is possible to do on a very limited system. And so this is Windows 10 Education, which I assume many of you will have. All right, so we'll first start at the GitHub repository, which we are going to pull down in a moment, but we're going to do some other installation first. So install Virtualbox first. We'll grab it for a Windows 10 host. Basic installation, you can use all the defaults. Okay, installation is complete. Let's also grab the extension pack. I have already done this once, so it's already installed, but installation and reinstallation look the same. Okay, there you go. So you're all good to go on Virtualbox. Back to the instructions. We also need to install Vagrant. I'm a 64-bit machine, so I'll grab that one. All the defaults again. Okay, that finished. Go ahead and restart your computer now. Okay, we've restarted and we have done steps 1, installing Virtualbox, step 2, install the extension pack, and we've installed Vagrant. So now we need to get this Git repository or GitHub repository. If you are familiar with Git, go ahead and either fork or clone this repository into your local machine. If you're not familiar with Git or don't have it installed on your machine, go ahead and download the zip file instead. Go to code, download zip. Okay, go ahead and open it up. And this is still zipped, so let's extract it. And let's extract it to the desktop. It should be in some place that you'll know to look for it. This is going to be a sort of permanent directory for you, so go ahead and put it somewhere that you know you won't lose it. So now open that up. It's just a folder with some files in it. You can, if you are on Windows, as this tutorial is showing, you can just double click this Windows bash file and it'll run the necessary commands to spin up the virtual machine, to download the box from Vagrant and go from there. However, I'll show you how to do it from the command line, and I'll also show you, since I'm on a very limited resource machine, how to set this up for a very limited resource machine. The default here for memory, that's all the memory of my entire host machine, so I can't allow the virtual machine to have that much. So I'll just have that to 2048, and I'll give it 2 CPUs instead of 4. And this Vagrant file is what determines your virtual machine's default settings. If you're on a machine with more resources, I do recommend leaving those defaults the way they are. Okay, so the Win installer would now install based on this Vagrant file. However, I'll also show you how to do it from the command line. So if you go to Start, type cmd, it'll open up a command window. We're going to want to find the directory that we have placed the GitHub repository in. So it's here. And I'll go ahead and actually copy that. Control-C, and I'll CD there. All right, you can also navigate around if you'd like. And to show what is available here in this directory, we can list the files using the command dir. Okay, so according to our instructions, the next step, if we are using the command line, is to type Vagrant up in the terminal window in the directory that we have placed the repository. So Vagrant up. And this process takes quite a while. So I'm going to pause the recording, go ahead and walk away. This is going to download a file that's like 13 gigabytes and then do some stuff with it. So this is going to generate your virtual machine that will show up in Virtualbox afterwards. So I'll go ahead and pause this, and you can sort of watch the process unfold in the command line here. If you use the .bat installer, double click that, essentially the same thing is happening. However, it's going to look a little bit different. There should be a command window like this that pops up, and you can see the process unfolding as well. All right, it's finishing up here. And we can see this virtual machine window, this Virtualbox virtual machine window, where it is booting up for the first time. it boots faster after the initial creation of the virtual machine. All right, we have ourselves a virtual machine. So if you allow it to finish, let's see, we'll let it finish. Right now it's mounting the shared folder. On the local host machine, on the desktop, there is this VM Vagrant main directory here, and this is going to be the shared directory that is going to be in common between the host machine and the virtual machine. So this is just being set up right now. All right, it is done. So let's pop over to our virtual machine, hit enter, asks for a password. The password is Vagrant, lowercase. And we have our virtual machine development environment. So before we do anything else, let's go ahead and plug in our physical MyRio device into a USB port on your machine. I've just done that now. And inside the virtual machine, this pops up. Okay, so this is the MyRio software, and if you wanted to use LabVIEW or something to interact with the MyRio, you could access some of that functionality here. We are just going to do nothing because we are going to interact with it through Eclipse, and we'll be programming it in C instead of LabVIEW. So now open up Eclipse. Eclipse is the IDE that we'll be working with. And this is opening up by default a workspace that is in the shared folder. Okay, so this is a display of all of the different projects that were loaded into the workspace automatically. And if you go to the virtual machine's file explorer, you can see where on the virtual machine this workspace resides. If you go to the network location here, this is the shared folder, and this folder has a workspace in it, and this is what you're seeing over in Eclipse. If you go to the host machine and you look in that same directory, you'll see the same files. So this is automatically synchronized from the guest to the host. So all of the work that you do in the guest will be saved in a place where you can reach it from the host, even if your virtual machine is not spun up, which is very convenient. Okay, so this main.c, I'll close it. That was automatically open. It's the My Hello World. So if you go to My Hello World, you go to main.c, double click, it'll open up right here. And this running this will help us verify that our installation is working. So if we go to run configurations, the run configurations are set up to connect to the MyRio at this address. So My Hello World is what we're running. And if we click run, it's going to try to connect. Well, first it's going to build the project. It's going to try to connect to the MyRio. If you leave the password, the user ID as admin and the password empty for this MyRio, it's set up like this. Your MyRio might have other user ID and password options. Okay, log in, okay. And this happens occasionally, so it was canceled. This connection was canceled. Okay, no big deal. We can either do it again or we can connect manually if you like by going to the Remote System Explorer, right-clicking on the MyRio IP address and connect. Again, you can save the password if you like. Okay, so the connection's there. We'll try again to run this. Okay, so we've had success. What happened was it logged in to the remote, then it deployed our code, and what we had to do is print hello world to the console, and if the MyRio is connected to an LCD screen, it would have printed to the LCD screen as well. If yours is connected, you should see that on your, you should see hello ME477, hello world on your LCD screen. Okay, so that is that. And closing Eclipse, it saves some workspace things. And that's it. Your virtual machine is up and running. You are able to do debugging and all that. If you would like to close this virtual machine down, which you no doubt will at some point because it will take a lot of your machine's resources, or you'll have to restart the host machine, just go ahead and power it down normally. You can power it down from the Virtualbox interface by hitting this checkbox. If you do that, you can power the machine down. Occasionally there will be issues though, and so it's better to do it from within the guest operating system. Now, if you would like to bring that back, you actually don't need to go through any of the previous instructions, no command line or anything like that. Just go ahead and open up your Virtualbox, and RTC book dist is the virtual machine we created. You can adjust settings in here if you'd like. In particular, the system settings, the amount of memory, the processor, some hardware acceleration settings here. Display, you can adjust the zoom. You can actually do this while it's running as well, just the display zoom or scale factor. And shared folders, you can add a shared folder if you'd like, but no need to do that. There are a lot of settings in here. So, all right. So let's go ahead and power this up by double clicking or clicking start. And this boots much faster than the previous time. And there we go. It's back. So you can log in with the password Vagrant, lowercase as well. And everything here is the same as it was before. All right. That's all I've got for you today. Hopefully it was helpful. Take care.